Hi, welcome back to Transform Your Impact. My name is Alexa Henderson, where we are speaking with entrepreneurs, leaders, creatives, and visionaries about the keys that have brought them success, impact, and positivity in the world, as well as money. Very important. So my guest today is a dear friend and very talented woman, Daralyse Lyons. She is an actress. She's a transformational storyteller. She's an improv. She just got joined on to the Comedy Sports Center in Philadelphia, a very prestigious moment there. And she's a published author. She's basically just up to amazing creative things, and she's an entrepreneur. So I'm very excited to have you on the series today, Dara.
Yeah, Alexa, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. It's a great opportunity, so thank you so much.
Awesome. Beautiful. So yeah, would you just tell us of some of the highlights of what you've been up to and what's kind of like up in your world right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I call myself a transformational storyteller. And so most of the things that I'm doing have some sort of like transformative, storytelling bent to them. But primarily I am an author, I'm a memoirist, I'm a novelist. I do editorial work for people. I am also an actress, so I have been doing a lot in that space, primarily the comedic end of acting. So I do a lot of comedy improv, and I'm also doing some behind the scenes like production stuff, which is fun. And then I, just to ground myself a little bit, I do yoga teaching, and yeah, and then I coach some creatives who are looking to get to the next level in their own creative endeavors. Primarily I work with writers, but I also work with, just anybody who wants to maybe have a less than traditional mode of earning a living and or just supplementing their income or kind of getting into creativity, whether it be for a hobby or as a, an avocation or a vocation.
Amazing. Just a short list of beautiful.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So, I mean, with all of these things that you're up to, I mean, are there certain pieces of it that you focus more on and that you earn more income from, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I would say that I've been a writer since I was 5 years old. That's what lights me up inside. I'm in love with the craft of creating a story. And so that's the thing where I think I'm most focused on in terms of just where I spend most of my time, and my creative energy is in that arena. But I've also been helping a lot of other people to raise their own level of creative expression. And I work with a lot of authors who might not have literary agents yet, or who might want to be published but haven't quite been published, or they have been published but they're looking to get to the next level in terms of their just the level of work product that they're churning out. And so I work with a lot of people, in that space. So I would say probably about 80% of my work time is spent doing writing and or writing related things. And then the other maybe 20% is spent in the acting space. And then I do other things on top of that. So because I'm a little bit of a workaholic, so I probably spend more than 100% of what a normal work week should be. I'm probably at like 120.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's writing, acting, and then, everything else.
That's amazing. Yeah. And so how many books have you published? Because it's kind of an amazing number.
So far I've published 20 books. There are 20 that are on Amazon. You can buy them right now. And then, I've written more than that, but my literary agent is currently querying on those. So I'm very, very lucky that I get to do what I love almost all the time.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Will you tell us about this concept of being a transformational storyteller? It's so awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that I believe very, very strongly that the stories that we tell ourselves shape the lives that we live. So, you know, if I am coming at my life with a perspective of scarcity, or I'm coming at my life with a perspective that, you know, nothing good ever happens, or I can't manifest my dreams, or, you know, I want to do more, but I can't try yet because, you know, we all, whatever the excuse, right? Like we all have a bazillion excuses. And so if I'm coming at my life from that standpoint, or even coming at it from the standpoint of like, well, this thing happened to me in childhood, and so, you know, I'm damaged fundamentally in this way, you know, which I just find that really limits the level of self-fulfillment, the level of self-actualization that we're able to reach if we tell ourselves, like, you know, self-limiting stories. And so what I find is that when I'm working with my clients, a lot of times what needs to change is not so much their roadmap to success, but their story about why they don't feel they deserve success. And when that shifts, then a world of possibilities opens up. And so, you know, I find that for me, like all I'm doing all day long is telling stories, whether it be writing fiction or whether it be writing memoir, or whether it be, you know, acting on stage. But what I found is that in my own personal life, the stories that I tell myself about my experiences, about my past, my present, and my future really shape kind of what I'm able to achieve, how I feel about myself in the process. And so, yeah, I feel like transforming a story can transform a life. Yeah.
I love that. And you've been able to work that into your own experience as well as the experience of the people that you're working with.
Yeah, and my experience of coming to a creative life was not, you know, I did not like sail here on the wings of victory, right? I was working in finance. I was working for a hedge fund from like 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. I had a rampant eating disorder. I was so like dead inside, you know, I knew that I wanted to be doing something different, but I kind of didn't believe that I could, that I had it in me, that I was worthy of it. And so really for me, I had to change my whole paradigm. And when I did that, everything else clicked into place. It was like super, I mean, in hindsight, it makes complete sense, right? Because like even just thinking about it from a fiction perspective, I'm sure, do you have a favorite TV show or like a favorite movie or anything like that, Alexa?
Yeah, I mean, I just finished The L Word, and
yes.
I'm like 15 years late on that, but my goodness, the art, the whole thing was just amazing.
Yes. Well, and if you just even think about that as a framework, the L Word, right? Like there's certain characters in there that you know what actions are going to fit that character, right? And we are characters in our own narratives. And so if I am like, you know, if I think of myself as, I don't know, this like teeny, like diminutive, you know, like actually this meek person who doesn't have a voice, right? Then like, I'm not going to speak up for what I want. I'm not going to say, this is what I need. You know, if I think of myself as a villain, or I think of myself, it just how we believe our characters are, you know, and who we believe ourselves capable of being, that's like how we live. And so really, I find that if we create some more character integrity and alignment, our lives just can't help but get better, almost in spite of ourselves, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So how did you work through those things on your own and come out the other side?
Yeah, well, I think that's a great question. And when you say on your own, I mean, that would definitely be a misnomer. And that's why I work with a lot of people who are looking to change their narratives about themselves, because really, you know, our minds are a closed system, right? Like if you're stuck in certain ways of thinking without some sort of external input to change those, you're going to continue. It's like a hamster on a wheel, right? That you just can't get out. And so I was very stuck in that cycle. I went to many different eating disorder treatment facilities, but the last one, I think I was just really willing to do anything that it took to be different. You know, I went to an eating disorder facility. I got into yoga, which really helped me to synchronize my mind and body, right? And like bring myself back into myself. And I think that I think it's kind of almost impossible to like be in your body and willfully hurt your body at the same time. Like, I think that there's a certain level of dissociation that has to happen in order to be self-destructive. So that was super helpful and healing. I got into therapy. I did EFT, which stands for the emotional freedom technique. And I just really, once I started to recover the parts of myself that I thought I had lost, I stopped wanting to be self-destructive. I stopped, I could not today go back to the life that I had 10 years ago because I'm not the same person. Certain aspects of me are unchanged, certain core aspects that I love and cultivate, but I just don't hate myself in the way that I used to. And my stories about myself are different. So yeah.
Awesome. It's awesome to know that people really can evolve and transform.
Well, I think they really can. I think it's in our natures to want to evolve and transform. And I think that fear does definitely get in the way. But I feel like sometimes, like, I had to do a lot of self-sabotage really to keep myself and my life small. Like, I really had to work very hard to keep myself stuck. And it has not taken as much work to transform my life as it took to keep it untransformed, really.
That's great for people who may be kind of experiencing the things that aren't working right now, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think really for your viewers, your listeners, people who are, very much wanting to be creative or wanting to launch their own business or their own product line or whatever it is. Like, I mean, I think that's like a hungering of the soul. I think it's a craving. I think it's like it comes from a deep inner place. There are some people who really don't know what lights them up and don't know what they want to do. But I think a lot of us really know we have that inner intuition and that vision and really want to make that vision happen. And I think that, a lot of things can get in the way of that. But I think that when people really can own it and let that lead them, it's almost an unstoppable force in a good way.
Yeah. So everybody needs some coaching with Dara, it sounds like. We'll talk more about that soon.
Well, everybody needs some coaching, period. I think yes. You and I are in alignment about that it's very helpful to have people sort of like, it's helpful to teach other people, because in teaching other people, I think the lessons get cemented within ourselves. And then in having someone who's like a little bit ahead, maybe to mentor and to guide, it's very helpful. So for me, I like to kind of be in that in-between space where I do have people that I look up to and emulate and learn from. And then I want to be helping other people who might, not quite be where I am. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Love it. Wonderful. Will you tell us, so I know that you have a memoir that's coming out soon.
I have a memoir project that is currently being shopped around. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm very, very excited about that project. I feel like when I first started writing, I needed to write fiction because I needed we talk about, transformational storytelling. And I was still too in my story to really be able to talk about it with any coherence. And so now, in the place in my life where I am now, I can look back at things that at the time felt very like tragic and traumatizing. And I can look back at them with enough distance that like I was really able to extract those life lessons and those learnings yeah, so I feel really excited about the memoir project. It was super fun to write, and I think it's the feedback I've gotten so far from my beta readers has been that it's been like engaging and fun and funny and has made them cry and laugh and all that. So I'm really excited about that.
That's so cool. Does it have a name yet, or are you not allowed to tell us?
Well, so the name thus far is Two of Me. It's about being biracial, bisexual, bipolar, and bulimic. So it's like all the, all those B things about, being all these sort of dichotomous things and then knitting them together into a more coherent whole and a more coherent narrative. So that's, the premise thus far. Those things can change though. If anybody's looking to get into the writing space, you will find that in editorial revisions, the story gets changed, right? So it's not just about transforming through story, but it's also about being willing to transform one's own story after getting feedback. So yeah, like getting too attached to any storyline, like I've just learned I can't do that. So yeah.
It really does take a team to create something great.
Yeah, and we can, we were talking about coaching a little bit earlier. It also takes other perspectives to help point out our blind spots because, I might write something with a certain intention and not realize that, oh, actually, I could have said it better this way, or what I did say might alienate this subset of people or whatever. So feedback is really, really useful. And that doesn't mean, I think that sometimes people can seek a level of feedback that almost obliterates their own inner voice, right? Or their own inner truth. But I think that both things are useful. So for me to use my intuition and use my creative spirit and trust my gut while at the same time kind of taking in other sources of alternative input is really important. And it's such a balancing act. Yeah.
Totally. Awesome. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I would love to hear if you could give one piece of advice to the viewers of what would really transform their impact the most, or that has transformed your impact the most. What do you think that would be?
Yeah, so I think I'm going to go back to the issue of character, because I think that really, if we focus on our core values as people or as creatives, I think that we really start to shape the lives that we want to live. So I'll just give an example. For me, one of my core values, and I would say the driving force behind the work that I do, is the value of authenticity. So that is essential for me. When I'm working with other coaching clients, their value might be love or beauty or art or connection. We don't all need to have the same sort of, point of focus, but I do find that when someone can really focus on a core word or phrase or, just something that they can have as their true North Star, that it feels like everything kind of shifts as a result of that. So I guess my piece of advice to your viewers would be to think about what their core value is, the thing that they want to communicate through their creativity or through their entrepreneurial endeavors, and then really synthesize that down to a word or a phrase or a quote or something, and then constantly remind themselves of that throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the months, and just keep bringing themselves back to that and asking themselves, how am I measuring up to the standard of authenticity or art or beauty or love or, whatever it is. And did I do more today to bring about more of that thing in the world? And I think that just has to have an impact, both on a personal level and on a more, global level.
Cool. Very, very supportive. Awesome. And so you have a free gift for the viewers as well.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. So for anyone who is looking to do anything in the creative space, whether it be writing or art or, acting or painting, or just, maybe they're just not quite fulfilled with their 9-to-5 gig and thinking about doing something entrepreneurial, I am offering a free 30-minute coaching session where we can just chat about maybe some next steps or what, things that they can do. And it's, if they want to work with me after, that's great. But my intention is really just to help them maybe figure out what element of their story they can shift pretty quickly so that they can start to take the steps that they need to take to move forward.
Beautiful. Wonderful. Yeah, from the expert herself, Dara Lyons, the transformational storyteller. And you've got a podcast that's coming out.
I do, and it'll be, it's the Transformational Storyteller podcast, and it should be available everywhere that podcasts are available. I believe the launch date should be April 1st of this year of, 2019. So that's the tentative launch date is in the first week of April.
So great. Well, thank you so much for your wisdom and experience. And
thank you so much for having me.